Welcome to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison.
I'm Molly, a former skeptic turned full-time energy healer and teacher.
And I'm Madison, a born and raised witch running my family's crystal shop.
And we're here to explore all things woo through the lens of both science and spirituality so that you can find the moments of magic in your everyday life and create an intentional spiritual practice.
So if that's what you're into, find a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's demystify some magic. Hi.
Hey.
How is it going, Molly?
It's going. I feel like I say that every week. Just my gut reaction is just, it's going.
It is continually going. You know what? And you're never wrong. That is always true.
I know. It's like my guttural response whenever people ask me how it's going. I either say it's going or I say live in the dream. And I feel like I need to create a new idiom.
We need some more variety in the responses. That's your homework for this week, to have something new to say to me when I ask you how it's going.
Okay, I'm on it.
All right. Well, you guys loved our spiritual morning routines episode. So we are bringing it back and doing some more low effort routines for you to incorporate into your spiritual practice. This time, an evening routine, a little bit more wind down focused. I'm really excited about this because it made me realize that this is really where I've really been neglecting my spiritual practice. And so I kind of got to reset, write out my menu, and be like, hey, this is very easy. This is, in essence, very low effort. Maybe we can bring this back into the rotation.
Yeah, same with me. I feel like for me, my evening routine really tees up my morning routine. And lately, my morning routine has been like a little all over the place. I think it's because, we have a new dog in the home and that throws everything off. Everyone's routine is off.
Yeah, all the routines across the board.
Yeah. And so I've been trying to get back into a morning routine and I've had the hardest time. And I realized as I was writing my list, it's because my night routine is a holy hot mess. So then I wake up tired and then I don't have the energy for a morning routine. So I think resetting my night routine with some of the things that have been tried and tested in the past with me, it's really going to help me get my entire routine back on track.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited. I feel like this has inspired me a lot to get my shit together with my nighttime routine. But before we get started, Molly, what was your magic moment this week?
Ooh, my magic moment is that my therapist is back from medical leave. She's been gone all summer.
Yay!
And it's so interesting because before she left, I was like, maybe I don't need therapy as much as I once did. And then this summer, I just really noticed that absence of just having an hour every week that is just about what I need to feel supported in and to just have that place where I can just be heard. I notice a lot, I cry during therapy every single time. And I noticed just for me, my body was like, why are we not crying every Tuesday? That feels wrong.
Where's my weekly tear release?
Yeah, there's definitely an energetic cleanse to me to be able to just release and speak whatever I'm worried about and just have that support. So I'm excited to have that back in my life and to be able to create space for it, and also proud of myself for this summer having to pull in other tools from my toolbox to create that space for myself, and other resources that I have in my back pocket that I broke out in the absence of that support. But very, very happy she's back.
Yes, I'm very happy for you. This is something that we've talked about kind of through the summer, of you navigating what that looks like. It's just another routine that's been disrupted.
Yeah, I'm a very routine person. Routines for me, need them. Routines equal safety in my brain more so than most people, I think. And so having that disrupted was a little bit destabilizing.
Yeah, so I'm very happy for you that you've got that back.
Yay. What was your magic moment?
Okay, I have a magic moment that trumps all magic moments. Sorry to your therapist.
I know what your magic moment is, and I'm very jealous. I didn't get to be a part of it.
So I got to meet one of our wonderful listeners, Megan, over the weekend.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan. Big shout out. She messaged me on Instagram to say that she was in town from out of state and had stopped by the store and messaged me about her intention card. If you're new here, if this is your first episode of Demystify Magic, for a little bit of context, I, along with my mom, own a metaphysical store in Tarpon Springs, Florida. So when I say the store, it's the Healing Hedge Witch in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Subtle plug. Use code MAGIC at checkout for a free tea light set. But she messaged me that she had come into the store and had gotten an intention card. That's something that we give with every purchase. And that her message was really poignant for her. And basically it worked out that she had one more day in town and I was going to be at the shop. We got to meet up. It was so fucking cool. She listens with her 13-year-old daughter immediately. I'm so sorry for the swearing.
She's 13. She's heard worse.
So hi to both of you. It was such a, like, just a wild full circle moment of like, I'm just some ding dong in my own brain. Like, I was like, what are you doing here? Excited to see me. Like, I'm just some stranger who talks on the internet about like my weird hyperfixations with my best friend. And so to like see someone in the flesh in front of me be like, yeah, I listen every Tuesday, where it's like, I know that those things are happening because we see it and we get those messages. But to meet you in person, Megan, was so cool. I felt like a rock star. And I'm so, so grateful. I've never felt more grateful for the people who listen to this podcast and like just to be so generous with your time. It really means a lot to me, to both of us, not to speak for you, but I really got to feel that this weekend. And so it was the most magic thing ever. I don't think I'll ever have a better magic moment.
Yeah. And it was so cool to like live vicariously through you through that, because obviously like I'm on the other side of the country, so I wasn't able to be there, even though I was like, could I fly down to Florida in the next hour?
How quickly could I get there?
But like, even for me, not having had that in-person experience, it really reminded me that, you know, we see the analytics of like who's listening to the episodes and who's following and like the number of people who listen every week. And it just put into perspective that like those are not just numbers. Like those are real. Like you're a human listening to this. Like I have chills. Like it's just
so wild.
It's so wild. And I'm so grateful and also like bewildered all at the same time. And like when we have those moments, whether it's, you know, we meet someone in person or we get a message or we get a review on the podcast, it just like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't have words for it. It's like bewildering and like the coolest thing ever. And like entrenched in so much gratitude, and like really helps us sustain like the energy to do this.
Yeah, 100%. If you've ever sent us a message, just know you're getting the most refined version of us, because first, before we answer you, we send it to each other to be like, oh my God, look at what someone said to us. Like we're fangirling at you guys.
Yeah.
And it's just the best feeling. I can't believe that I get to do this with you. I love you. Okay. Anyways, I got real emotional real quick.
I know. I'm like, here we go. Where's my therapist?
All right. Let's get started with our low effort spiritual evening routines. So
let's do it.
I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to start with what is probably the easiest thing on my list that I'll do in the evening time to kind of start to wind down. A lot of these, I can struggle to fall asleep. So I have to be very intentional in my evening routine with like doing things that calm me down and I'm always trying to bring like calming, sleepy energy. And so one of those things that I do to like kind of set that tone is people make these videos on YouTube of just them for hours playing crystal singing bowls.
Oh.
And I'll just put that on at like 8 o'clock. Low volume on like my living room TV. I live in a pretty small apartment. You're going to hear that all across the house. Set it at like a low volume. And that's when I start like my wind down. If I'm like going to, you know, clean the kitchen, that's what I've got going. I'm, you know, as I'm like kind of doing what people on TikTok will call like the closing shift of like resetting the house. I try to be good about that. Let's be honest.
I'm terrible at it.
Like
I go through like a week where I'm good at it and then it just kicks my ass.
If you saw my house, you'd be like, I don't know the last time this woman did a closing shift. Who closed last night? Because I don't know her. But when I am in a good routine of doing that, I'm also in a good routine of like cleansing my space that time of night. You know, especially when I'm working from home, like my space holds a lot of energy. And when that kind of builds up, especially in like periods where I'm working a lot or where there's a lot going on or like there's deadlines that I need to meet and things that need to happen, I like to prioritize a good house cleanse. And sound is one of the easiest ways to do that for me. It's very low effort of I just, I press play and I trust, and I let the sound do its job because I just can't do smoke that often. Smoke cleansing for me, like especially I have 2 cats, like I've got to be kind of sparing with my smoke cleansing.
Yeah.
And so a nice sound bath is a great way for me to start my wind down.
See, I have same thing, different font on my list.
Of course. What else is new?
I wrote energy cleanse my space. I usually use Reiki though, because I've never thought of the sound cleansing.
They're so nice.
On the YouTube. That's brilliant. I might borrow that. But for me, I would have to like walk around with a speaker because I have 2-floor living over here. So I like to use Reiki. I'll just like sit in my bed and do it. The cool part about like distance Reiki in particular, especially when it comes to like cleansing spaces, is I don't have to like walk around like you would with smoke cleansing.
Yeah.
I can just do my whole house in like 5 or 10 minutes. But this is one especially I will do at the changing of seasons or the changing of not even just seasons, but like weather patterns. Because I live in an old house, like you can really feel like the shift of energy from downstairs to upstairs, right? Like it's nice downstairs, but then it's like hot and humid and sticky upstairs, and like the energy just feels different. So I'll do that. I'll sit in bed. I'll do an energy cleanse my space, and then I will do a Reiki session for myself while I'm lying in bed. So I will either do a distance session for myself or I will do a hands-on session for myself with the focus of calming my mind, calming my body, releasing any energy that I may have picked up throughout the day and calling my own energy back, purified through the light of Reiki.
I didn't have that on my list, but I do also do Reiki on myself. I do. What do you mean when you say you either do distance on yourself or hands-on? What does doing a distance Reiki session on yourself look like?
Like just lying there and doing as if I was doing like a distance session for someone else, but for myself, like the days where I don't feel like moving my hands or moving my arms.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So if I'm like curled up on my side and I can't really like put my hands on my body somewhere, then you can do it at a distance with like the symbols in your mind.
I had never considered this.
Girl, I taught you how to do this.
I don't think you said it in those exact words though, of doing distance on yourself.
Yeah. There's go into the Course Hub. There's a self Reiki distance meditation you could do right now. You could do it tonight.
Okay, I missed that one. Oops. Listen, once a bad student, always a bad student.
Hey, this is why I provide resources to my graduates, because I know when you go through the training, it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
It's like you got to go back and revisit it or hear it a different way. By the way, if any other level 2 graduates are listening, go into your Course Hub. You've got that meditation. You could do it yourself.
And if you missed it too, let me know, because now I feel real silly. All right. Next on my list, I kind of started out and worked my way in and worked my way into my bed with this list. So
okay,
starting with my space and then moving into cleansing of like myself and my person. I'm a nighttime showerer. I don't know.
Me too.
Okay, great. Sometimes this is a very divisive topic for people.
Okay, you live in Florida, so I feel like if you're not a nighttime showerer, what are you doing?
Okay, thank you for understanding. Really, I'm like in this phase of life where we're in the world's most wild heat wave. I'm like a 3 times a day showerer. Like I'm, a step out for my morning coffee and come home and shower person, because I cannot leave the confines of these 4 walls without sweating. But I am always tried and true nighttime shower. And I do a visualization exercise using the water of the shower. I love water as a cleansing method. That sounds so silly when I say it out loud, because it's like, yeah, obviously like water cleans. But specifically for spiritual cleansing, I feel like it is really underrated.
Yeah. So easy too.
And so I will I will visualize energy around me, anything that I want to release from the day. And I'll imagine it just like schlubbing off of me as I wash my body and going down the drain, and it's gone.
Love that.
it's a really easy, it takes like maybe 30 seconds of the shower. You know, it's not like, it's something that's so easy to do that you don't have to even like you can remember in the moment. You know, it's not something that you have to do any preparedness for, which makes me especially, gives me a certain level of like endearment to it. I love things that require no preparation. I am like classic get in the shower and then realize that there's no clean towels.
Yeah.
Like, so something that just requires my brain is always going to work best for me.
Yeah. I love that. I will also take it a step further. Like if I'm feeling like I have some heavy stuck energy, I'll do more of an intentional cleanse of each of the energy centers. So each of the chakras. So when you're like scrubbing your hair, like focusing on that crown energy center at the top of the head and like imagining you're like scrubbing debris off when you're washing your face, like really rubbing into the third eye when you're doing your body, like going down each of the energy centers and then doing your palms and the soles of your feet really, really well, because we take in so much energy and we send out so much energy through those centers. That's just a really nice way to like continue that cleanse if you want like more of a medium effort cleanse. Like you're going to wash those parts of your body anyway. So you might as well like focus your attention the whole time. I just came up with that. So
I will be upgrading every once in a while. I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, my next one is my next two both involve crystals, but they're a little bit different in terms of application. So I'm going to separate them into two separate things. And if anyone comes for me and says those are the same, we're going to have a problem. The first one is doing a crystal layout on my body. So this is, I usually do this in the times where I am feeling sort of like a transition period, low energy, struggling to fall asleep, or if I'm in sort of like a phase of my life where I'm in kind of like in a spiritual development phase, like if I'm trying to manifest something, do something with my intuition. I don't know. I kind of just like, it's a season of my life that I do it in. I don't do it every night. But a crystal layout is essentially when you take crystals for healing purposes and you place them on your body. We could do like a whole like podcast episode about this and not even scratch the surface. But in essence, I will take crystals that either help with relaxation, help with sleep, or if there's anything mentally, physically, energetically that I am working on healing or resolving, I will bring those crystals in. I'll place them on my body before I fall asleep when I'm lying in bed, and I will just lie there and let the energy do their thing for like 15, 20 minutes and then remove them from my body and then fall asleep. And it's a nice way of sort of like, I see it as like banging on the pipes, you know, energetically. It's like moving that debris, moving that energy around, helping to amplify energy in certain parts of the body, helping calm energy down, bringing more balance in, and also like honing in on what my intention is for my night, my week, my period of life, so that when I fall asleep, I'm kind of like marinating in that energy.
I love hearing how you use crystals because we use them so differently. Like I feel like where the ways we're drawn to use crystals are so different that I always get such good ideas from you, and I learn so much about other ways to use them that I don't feel drawn to all the time, and so I don't do as much learning about. For me, crystals are like deeply a part of like ritual work, and I don't really touch them that much outside of that. And so that's something I've never done.
Interesting.
I've never placed crystals really on my body. I've meditated with my crystals. I could count on one hand how many times. And it's really just like even holding them.
Fascinating to me. Yeah, we got a couple of requests to do episodes about crystals, but we're kind of like, there's so much we could talk about that we don't know which direction to start in. So if you want to see an episode about crystals, send us a DM. Let us know what your questions are. Let us know what you want us to cover, and we will do it.
Yeah, we would love to dive deep on the things that you guys want to hear about. You know, like we know the ways that we use crystals, and we can talk about that all day, but we'd really love to know what you guys are looking for and what you guys would like to know. So slide into our DMs.
Slide in. Should I share my other crystal one while we're on crystals?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. The other one I have, which is like very, very low effort, is I keep a smoky quartz underneath my sheets down by my feet. It's just like a little tumble. Smoky quartz is really good for grounding worry, grounding stress, grounding anxiety, and like recentering your focus. I kind of see it as like the analogy that's coming to mind is like a coffee filter for your brain. So it sort of like filters out things that aren't necessary to focus on before you're falling asleep so that your mind can settle so that you can fall asleep. So I just like tuck one. It's just a tumble underneath my sheets. You could keep them like in your sheets, I suppose, but like I'm always worried that I'm going to like wash them or lose them or my dog's going to eat them or something. So I just tuck it underneath my sheets down by my feet. I never notice it in terms of like disturbing my sleep, but I do notice a big difference in the way that I feel when I'm trying to fall asleep and when I wake up the next morning. I just find my sleep is so much more restful. So you could do that with smoky quartz or like literally any other crystal that is going to help you sleep. So like celestite would be a really good one. Maybe like some people amethyst works for them. Other people amethyst does the opposite. So like choose your own adventure on that one. But really any crystal that helps you feel like that sense of relaxation, that sense of soothing for your mind and your body.
I really need to like do an audit of what's going on with the crystals by my bed and in my bedroom, because as you were talking again, I realized it's like that's something I know intellectually, right? Like keeping crystals by your bed for sleep, that's a no-brainer. The way that my brain works, it just sees any open space in my house as a space where I could put rocks.
Yeah, same.
And so like my nightstand is a very easy place to fall victim to that. And so like off the top of my head, I could probably name 10 crystals that are on my bedside table that are just there because they're pretty. And I have given absolutely no thought to what impact they could be having on my sleep. I love when we do these episodes. It really, it puts me in a place to like really do some reflecting on my choices.
Gotta go do an audit of your nightstand. What's your next one on your list?
All right. So staying in the bathroom, we talked a little bit in the morning routine episode about how I'm a big skincare girly. So obviously skincare is a very easy place for me to stick any sort of spiritual routine into. I spend a lot of time on it usually. My nighttime skincare routine is where I can spend a little bit more time. We talked in the morning routine about like drawing sigils and sunscreen because you got to use a lot of sunscreen in the nighttime. I had somebody message me that they also did not know about how you need to use at least 2 fingers worth of sunscreen to get the full SPF. So I really feel like I'm making an impact on the world with my
I think about you every morning. I'm like, this is not enough, but I'm not going to change.
I'm going to send you my sunscreen that I wear because it is so nice that you'll want to use 2 fingers worth of it.
Perfect.
Okay. But anyways, in the morning, I've got my sunscreen. At night is when I usually cleanse twice. I'll use an oil-based cleanser and then a water-based cleanser, especially if I wear makeup. So that gives me a lot of time, especially like you're taking your makeup off. Like, you know, you got to be a little bit more intentional rather than like, you know, in the morning, I'll like throw water on my face and be like, okay, like we're good. But I don't want to sleep in my makeup. So I spend a little bit more time on my nighttime cleanse. That's when I spend some time doing some affirmations, kind of looking at myself in the mirror, giving space for that, like some intention setting, things I want to focus on, maybe do some Reiki on my skincare products. I'll often keep crystals in that drawer, draw sigils on the products themselves, kind of the same thing that we went over in the morning routine. If there are things that I only use in the nighttime, so like my sunscreen obviously will get intentions that I want to take with me during the day. I'm not putting sunscreen on before I go to bed. The moisturizer I use at night is going to have more, I'm going to keep an amethyst with it because that is very calming for me. I'm going to, you know, create a sigil that is more related to helping me fall asleep. So kind of same thing, different font of like catering that enchantment, if that's what you want to call it, to the routine that it's for, if that makes sense.
That's smart. I love that. Yeah. Every morning I think of you. My sunscreen is built into my moisturizer. So I'm like, I have 1 finger's worth of moisturizer and I'm not putting more on. And I know Madison is mad at me for it.
That's okay. You just, take whatever SPF it's saying that you're getting and reduce it by half. And that's what you're probably got on your face.
7.5. Perfect.
My
Irish skin is loving it.
Well, your skin looks great. So
thanks. It's because I spend a lot of time inside.
That was going to be my follow-up, is that I'm not super worried about you personally, because I know where you spend your days most of the time. You're not exactly getting a ton of outdoor work in there. So
yeah.
I'm not concerned. No. All right. You give the last one on your list. I've got 2 on mine that are kind of connected. So it actually works out that you did the crystals.
Perfect.
Together.
All right. The last one on my list is to do a very specific meditation or manifestation ritual. So what I mean by this is, instead of kind of like a meditation that's sort of like generic, pay attention to your breath or your body or whatever, I will do something that is meditation based that brings me closer to my goals. Okay. So what I mean by that is, I have OCD. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but one of the ways that OCD presents itself for me is in these like habits of looping on the same worry over and over and over again. So maybe that's like, the fear of like, what are people going to think if I post on social media? What are people going to say? What if I get canceled? What if I, my business explodes? What if I don't make enough money? Like, it's always one loop that just goes on and on and on and on and on. Or it loops on like a goal that feels like too far out of reach. That's like, oh, what if I never get this goal? Or what if I'm not doing enough to get this goal, or whatever? So if it's looping on a specific worry, I will do either some kind of like Reiki based meditation. So I have like a couple of energy refresher sessions that I've done that are on specific fears that I recorded for clients, and then I get to do them, which is the fun of like what I do. Or I'll do an EFT meditation, which is like tapping on different meridian points and saying different affirmations. If I'm like focused on a goal and I'm sort of like fixated on this goal that I'm trying to manifest, then I will do a meditation, a manifestation ritual. I'll actually leave a link to the one that I recorded and that I actually use down below. It's my Manifest with Reiki ritual, but it's like a 20-minute meditation. It creates relaxation in the body, and then it has you call up the emotion of the thing that you want to manifest. And so it just helps my brain quiet down and then imagine what it's like to actually have that goal. And that helps break that loop in my brain of like worrying about it, so that I can actually fall asleep. And like the bonus of that is, right before you fall asleep, your subconscious is really primed to plant that seed of what you're manifesting. So then you do it and then you fall asleep, and then it's like able to kind of sink in a little bit more, so you can manifest faster that way.
Yeah, I don't think that that's too niche to you at all. I think, if you have any form of an anxiety disorder or any kind of intrusive thought, that is super helpful. Yeah. And can confirm, as someone who has used your pre-recorded meditations, big fan.
Thanks, friend.
And that actually leads really nicely and easily into my last 2 that are kind of connected. I will also try to incorporate a meditation into my nighttime routine. I'm not always the best about it, but I will usually go about it in 2 different ways. One is like, we've talked on the podcast before about active meditation, and specifically I've talked about iPhone games as active meditation. And then I have like a more, I guess, passive meditation, like a more traditional meditation on my list as well. So I'll usually kind of choose where I'm at. If I'm feeling kind of the same thing, if I have like those thought loops, if I can't disconnect from any sort of like anxieties that I've latched onto, the nighttime is also where I will kind of like ruminate, and, as like the lights turn off and it's immediately like, what if everything's horrible?
Yeah.
And I can't let go of that. That's when I'll play Candy Crush until I can't keep my eyes open.
What level are you on, friend?
Oh, on which of the 3 apps? There, if you didn't know, there are
3.
There are 3 versions of Candy Crush.
What?
Okay, I'll pull up the original.
The other day, this is an aside, but the other day I was thinking about like, did you ever play Bejeweled? before
Yes.
Candy Crush.
Of course.
That was like the OG. I remember in like the 90s, my mom was obsessed with Bejeweled. And I was like, truly,
Yes.
this game has been around forever.
You played it on the computer. Okay,
Yeah.
so on original Candy Crush, which is my least favorite of the 3 apps, I have... Oh my God, your dog is upside down. We're never getting Molly back. We are never getting Molly back.
He looks like he's broken.
He does. He just looks like a little black blob with his feet up in the air from where I'm sitting, through the Zoom camera. But he does look, he's malfunctioning.
Why is he doing that?
He's relaxing. He's chilling out, max and relaxing, all cool.
Oh God, this episode is breaking down.
It's okay. Let's get back on the rails by talking about where I am on Candy Crush. In my least favorite of the Candy Crush trio, the original, I'm on level 1,576.
Oh my God.
On my most favorite Candy Crush Soda Crush, Soda Saga, sorry. I'm on, oh no, it just gave me 30 minutes of free lives because I opened it for the first time today. I usually save that. Shit. Okay, well now I know, you know what I'm doing for, 30 minutes after we get off this podcast. Sorry guys, I have to go. Oh no, my mic's off. My computer, I can't hear you. I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm on level 2,431.
Oh my, wow.
So I do this quite often. But it really is such a great active meditation for me. Not sponsored by Candy Crush, but I'm willing to talk. I don't know exactly. There's science around this. There's like a study about Tetris, right? You sent it to me forever ago about, it's like, and don't quote me on this, we'll link it in the show notes, but I believe it's that they did a study where they had people play Tetris right after experiencing like a stressful or traumatic event, and it lowers the impact of like PTSD in people, they found. And so I don't know what exactly it is, but Candy Crush is what can soothe my brain. And so if I'm in those thought loops, that's my meditation. I choose an active meditation. I just play Candy Crush and it works like a charm. I am tired like that because it's the anxious thoughts that are like giving my body adrenaline to keep me up. And so when I can stop that supply, I immediately crash and I'm like conked out.
Yeah. I play a lot of iPad games too. I feel like that's how I know I'm in my 30s, but you're telling me that this is a normal thing for if you're in your 20s too, so I feel better about it.
I don't think I'm like a great threshold for like what's normal for someone in their 20s, but I'll let you have that.
Okay, great. What's the last one on your list?
On the other side of that, if I don't feel like I need Candy Crush to quiet my brain, I will do a more traditional meditation with one of the spell candles that I make for the store. So as I was writing this list, I was like, oh, maybe we need like a sleepy time spell candle.
Yes, I was thinking that. I was just thinking that the other day.
Because I don't often use them with the intention that I've assigned to them, which sounds like kind of counterintuitive. They are deeply personal to me because I craft all of them from scratch, like they all come from my brain. And so they're all very fiercely tied to periods of my life. And they all kind of have an intention that is more connected to that for me than what I made it for.
Okay.
So on the full moon and the new moon, I'll burn our full moon and new moon candles, but I'll burn the full moon often like all month long and pull out the new moon on the new moon. And so an aside, if you see a candle that is assigned an intention like that, like if you were in the Healing Hedge Witch and you were picking up the candles and you're like, oh, I'm smelling this abundance candle, but this really takes me back and like puts me in this state of comfort, that is always going to supersede an intention that I or someone else has assigned to something. I use more traditional, like, here's what this thing is used for in spiritual practices. That's where I start. And then I let intuition guide the way a little bit. It is like a form of channeling for me when I make these candles. And so a lot of it is based in quote unquote research. Cause what do you call spiritual research?
Spiritual research.
Spiritual research. But it's also based in like what I'm being called to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you experience any of those things differently, don't feel like you can't have something because the label says abundance, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not going to no longer have that effect that it had on you when you first experienced it because the label says something different, you know? So
yeah, you get to assign your own meaning.
Yes. And so I very much do that. I'll light one of our spell candles, usually the full moon one. It's my favorite. And let that kind of, that intention that I've assigned it kind of like wash over me. It also, like, I think in a Pavlovian way, puts me in go to bed mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I'll pull out the Reiki and I'll usually play, I might still have those sound bowl sounds going, or like a 5-minute meditation from Headspace or something, and just take a little 5-minute, a breather. I'll do hands. Well, now I'm going to be doing distance on myself, but I'll do a little hands on. Usually hands on my stomach is where I'll do like, I'll just do a full body from that one position.
Mm-hmm.
I'll like let it flow through my whole body and do it more traditionally. But lately we've been really leaning on the Candy Crush. I've like had a very active brain at night, and I'm like really into Candy Crush right now. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I get that. I'm really into Royal Match right now. So
I'm going to have to download that so we can be friends on there too.
Oh, please.
All right. Those are our spiritual evening routines.
Yeah. We want to know what you do. What is your way that you add your spiritual practice into your evening routine? Let us know so that we can source more ideas from you. And honestly, I love when we do these episodes because we always get like messages from people who are like, oh, I love this. I do this. And then I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. And then I add it to my routine. And then I'm like, damn, our listeners are brilliant.
My menu has expanded significantly since we started doing these low effort ritual episodes of like, any kind. We've gotten feedback from the full moon and the new moon episodes as well of things that our listeners do on those during that time. And I just learned so much. It's so much fun. So please let us know, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison. If you want to learn more about us, you can find all our links in the show notes.
We'd love to know what you think of today's episode, so drop us a review or give us a shout out on social media. And don't forget to let us know your magical moment of the week. Okay, love you. Bye.